All right. Dynamite Delight. You see my title, and I'm sticking to it because I'm going to be in the minority here. I'm telling you right now, I'm in the minority. Anybody else is going to say, you stupid, this is great. Me, no. I am in the minority here, and I know I'm in the minority, but this is how I feel. This doesn't feel right. This feels rushed. Now I'm going to go through the show, go through many of the talking points here of why this show was not that bad, but I'm telling you about the ending. It doesn't feel right. Opening. Let me give it to you like this. What we got was Swerve. Opening the show was good. Talking about the EVPs, talking about the Will Ospreay. That's understandable. I'm fine with that. Seeing the EVP come out and saying not only are they going to do Blood and Guts, they want Swerve to be a part of it. Now, makes perfect sense when it comes to Swerve Strickland. He's not a good guy as far as they're concerned. And I know people say he's a face, and generally he is. But he's a face that will smash your face in. He's not that good. So he's not a betweener, but he's someone that's not like, this is good, this is bad. He's like somewhere around here. He's not middle of the road, but he's like this. He will reach a point where he will smash your face in. So I like how he works his character. When you see that he's telling the EVPs and who gave him a pair of their sneaks that just came out, the Reeboks. I'm not going to lie. I can't wear high tops because it's not possible for me. I can't wear them because of my bad leg, but they kind of look cool. I'm not going to lie. They're looking stylish, but seeing that he's saying, well, one, they ain't the right size for me. Two, I am an entrepreneur. Three, I know how to use my entrepreneurship, and tells Nana to throw the sneakers into the crowd. That was something interesting. So somebody got probably a $100 to $150 pair of sneaks for free if they can fit 9.5 or 9s. I think he said 9 or 9.5. But the point is, it was a good segment that showed something. Now we get Christopher Daniels. Here's where it gets very confusing. What are we getting exactly here? Are we getting a definition that Tony is overriding the Bucks, or is the Bucks still able to do whatever they want? Because as it stands right now, this makes no sense when it comes to Christopher Daniels as the interim vice president. Let's make it clear. You should have the Bucks. No, you see him boxing. But look, I'm botching because it's kind of pissing me off a lot. You should not have Tony Khan telling people what to do. He should be completely eliminated from the entire equation. He shouldn't be functional. He shouldn't be doing anything. It should be about the EVPs, and it is not. Tony is still active. Tony is telling Christopher Daniels what to do. So what do we actually have here? The EVPs have no power. This is the problem. The EVPs, if they're going to use this ability to be able to say they want to have a match with Blood and Guts, and they signed off on it, who says Tony can't override them at any fucking time? And it's hurting this storyline, which is not a great one in the beginning. We know why it was formed, because of just one podcast and how Tony reacted. He is not acted, he is reacted, as I've been saying for months, along with, I believe, just Alex and JD. But in this situation, they're hurting the story. They're hurting the damn story by having Tony continually interject himself instead of leaving the EVPs alone and let them do whatever they want. It just feels bad. And then Christopher Daniels doing this, giving orders that there's going to be matches for the EVPs and Okada, and whoever wins that match gets a shot at their titles. It feels disjointed. Now, many people are going to say, well, dude, look, you got a struggle of power, one and the other. There you go. You got Tony Khan with Christopher Daniels on his behalf, and you got the Bucks and Okada with Jack Perry on that side. And I could say yes to a certain extent, but then no. Because Tony came back in a damn SUV and brought a carrying a flamethrower, Darby Allin. If he had not come back at all, this would be alright. You have Christopher Daniels on one side, and then you have the Bucks on the other. But then when you show Tony coming back, getting his butt kicked, and we know he's in the back, and the interim vice president doesn't feel like the interim vice president. He just feels like Tony's back there hiding. He should not be there. And that's what's irking me. Now, first match. We get the match that was set up on Collision. Now, I did see Collision. And the thing about this is seeing that you have... here's the problem. No build-up. You should do something with Dustin Rhodes. And we're not getting it. Him saying, I want to kick your ass because of what you've done, feels like it needed at least 2 weeks or 3 weeks to build up into a real match, which would at least mean something as a story, but they don't do it. They do things so quickly just to get the match done, it feels empty. And that's what we got here. And for the ladder match, this is a qualifying match for the ladder match to get to the TNT title. This is his shot, and this is Jack Perry's shot. And did I actually believe that Dustin Rhodes was going to win? No, because this was never about Dustin Rhodes winning. Because they never said it on Collision that this was a chance for Dustin to fight for the TNT title that his own brother won and he's never touched. It just felt like an obstacle that Jack Perry had to go through, which didn't feel like it. And you see that Dustin tried his best to put this over by bleeding. By bleeding and taking a bump on the concrete with no pads. Just to try and put Jack Perry over, which he did. And Jack Perry putting blood in his hair and some blood on his body. And the problem here, it doesn't feel good enough because Tony Khan showed himself. He should have never came back to Dynamite. He should have never gone to Collision. He should never been on a pay-per-view. He shouldn't have been nowhere. He should never appear again. And even with Christopher Daniels there, it negated it. What is the point of putting Christopher Daniels if we know eventually Tony's going to pop up anywhere at any time when he shouldn't? And particularly, no freaking neck brace. Moving on. Roosh versus a jobber who was named Rooshman. Roosh versus Rooshman. That would have been interesting to set that up. I am the true Roosh. Rooshman? What the hell is that? Brutal. Something like that. Set up a couple of days, or at least a week ahead of time, that he's going up against Rooshman. Nope, he destroys him within 2 minutes. Annihilates him. And then basically was ready to rip his head off until MJF came out. And I gotta say this, counting on the fight, because the fight was good. Let's make it clear. Seeing MJF starting from the bottom to build himself up is actually quite good. I am glad to see they're doing this. Let him be with someone really rough and then start building his way back up so he can go up against Swerve Strickland. Counting a Swerve doesn't job to somebody, which I don't think he will. But seeing that he is starting from scratch is good. And the fight in the back was not bad. They separated him, it was fine. But I gotta say this because I did see what happened to MJF when he was off for those 6 months. He showed a shot on his Instagram where he got a big ass pot belly. For him to have his stomach like abbed out, there's an actual trick to that. The way he looked, he could have actually drank a lot of soda and he was already ripped, but he had a lot of soda and he ate something, had a lot of soda and let his stomach stick out so it looks like he hadn't exercised when he probably was in great shape. That is a good little bit of ploy to make people think, oh, damn, he shows this on Instagram right after he comes back and he looks ripped to hell. He must have busted his ass. Well, no one's saying he didn't, but it is obvious there's a good possibility that he tricked everybody, making them think that he was just pot-bellied while he was gone for those months because of his back, but he was always ripped no matter what. I'm just saying. Next match, 6-man tag. Now, let me give it to you like this. Did that interview with Renee make me enjoy seeing a Orange Cassidy and a Kyle O'Reilly with a Mark Briscoe? Let me give you like this. When you see a guy who is standing next to a real talker going, that was funny. I'm not going to tell you that wasn't funny. Seeing Kyle O'Reilly 100% like, God damn, boy, you know how to talk. That I enjoyed. Seeing Willow there was fine. I'm alright with it. It wasn't a bad thing. Everyone else may not agree with it, but like I've said multiple times, if you only want to see matches, watch amateur wrestling. Pro wrestling is pantomime. If you don't know what pantomime is, look it up. It is a word basically meaning a form of laughter and entertainment with basically like clowns. Something that will make you laugh. Something that will give an emotion. If you don't want any of that, go to amateur wrestling or sumo wrestling. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep saying it because if you don't understand it, if anybody leaves a comment saying, I don't like this, I'd rather see more wrestling, go watch amateur wrestling. Watch sumo wrestling. Watch those guys with those big asses go like that, like that in your damn face. Watch it because there is no pantomime in it. They do ritual, they do sumo wrestling. I'm saying sumo when it means sumo, but they do that. If you don't want any of real pro wrestling, don't watch it. It's not for you. And that's not meant to be disrespectful. That's just the truth. So the match was over. The heels won. Then we get, well, how can I say this when it comes to the Don Callis family? Seeing that you are having a relationship when it comes to Hathaway and Chris Statlander because they did beat the crap out of a Willow Nightingale, and seeing that Willow got her titties stomped in by Chris Statlander is actually the right thing to do. Let's make this clear. If she always was angry at her for what she's done by not really being a better champion, or worse yet, not understanding that Chris should be the champion, it's understandable that she's going to stomp that titty. It's understandable. That is an insult. You don't stomp another woman's boob. You don't. So it's understandable with that. But the question here is, how far is this relationship between the Don Callis family, Chris Statlander, and Hathaway? Because they don't really 100% mingle together. It would be easier if just Hathaway and Chris Statlander just joined. But Don hasn't really said that. That's just how I feel about it. Next. Let me give it to you like this. Seeing Samoa Joe work with Hook, because it went up against the premier athletes, and they basically whooped their asses. And seeing that, let me say it like this. Seeing Shibata interacting with them. I'm fine with seeing Shibata as the, more of a manager in this situation. Not saying he can't work his own. But then at the same time, it's like this. Let's make it clear with Shibata. Shibata may not speak very good English or any English, but they can do work with him. They just need the right person to have him as a manager to work with him. But no one's there for him. There's no one that can help Shibata. And I'm going like, why? Why can't you get someone for Shibata? He's supposed to be the wrestler. Can't you give him a manager that can be his mouthpiece so it can make him mean something more? And I really do believe he could be more. And I just don't feel it. He's like a third wheel when it comes to Hook and Samoa Joe, which makes sense to me. More than RVD and Hook, or Chris Jericho and Hook. You know, guys, when it came to TNA, when it came to Samoa Joe and Taz, he was his manager at one point. And when they finally had that match with Taz being on commentary, Hook in the ring with a Joe, Taz says, you know what he used to call Samoa Joe? Uncle Joe. That was like 10 years ago. So it's not like he doesn't know Samoa Joe. He does. So seeing that Samoa Joe's decided, boy, me and you, we're going to do some business. If you want to still have a match with me, fine. But let's take care of this first. Let's dominate everything. And then afterwards, we'll take care of each other. I find that refreshing in this situation, that he makes more sense than Chris Jericho or a RVD. Now, I could say much about the Learning Tree segment with Private Party, but I'm not going to, because it's going to depend on one thing, not because of how the educational moment with Private Party kind of schooled a little bit of the learning tree. It's about how far they're going to go with Private Party. Look, we've had this with them, but they never get very far. Now, Quinn and Cassidy have always been a mainstay there, but they never really been pushed correctly or pushed far enough. They never have. They haven't won the tag champions. You see them getting upset. They never won tag belts. What are they doing? Honestly, I think it's time for them to leave. They've been there since almost practically the very beginning of Dynamite, of the formation of AEW, and they really haven't gotten very far. Yes, you can say Brother Zay, he has gotten so far, but Quinn hadn't. He had to go away and come back because he got injured. But now I think he got released and it came back. I could be wrong. I do believe they could do more. And if they can't get any further in AEW, let them go to TNA. Let them go. I'm not saying that TNA is good. Oh, almost forgot about TNA. A little TNA interjection. If you have not heard yet, for those who have heard, TNA officials are not happy. You know why? Because the ratings haven't gone up because of what happened with Jordan Grace. That's not what I said. That's what they said internally. And it was reported that they're disappointed that the ratings haven't increased because of Jordan Grace. And Jordan Grace, for her credit, deservingly, put on in other words, X, Twitter. Who the hell do you think you are? Not directed towards her bosses, but telling those people, the ones who are not satisfied with the ratings, what's your problem? That's not me that's doing it. Anybody who still thinks TNA is not having problems, and you know who you are, the one who leaves me the sun than anyone else, TNA has problems. This is not about trying to cut the fat. They have internal problems. If they're openly stating that they're disappointed about the ratings, whose fucking fault is it? Is it a Jordan Grace who did great, not only in Royal Rumble, and then going to NXT, and then having her match, 2 matches, one in NXT and one in NXT's PLE, whose fault is it? Is it hers? Or is it theirs? Leave a debate down below. But let's move on. The next match, the TBS Championship, Mercedes Moné versus Zuzaris. I believe her name is Zuzaris. I'm mispronouncing it. But we got a CMLL champ, well, not champion, a tag champion, I believe she was, a former tag champion, CMLL, and the partner of the woman that Mercedes will be going up against in Forbidden Door. Let me give it to you like this. Was it a good match? No. It felt a bit choppy and botchy. And it felt from Mercedes. And understand, I like Mercedes a lot. I do. But I'm not going to tell you that Mercedes did a great job there. It looked like Mercedes really wasn't sure how to work with this woman. And she started getting into it by near the end of the match. But at the beginning, she felt a little tentative. But Zuzaris, I believe her name is Zuzaris, wasn't like that. She basically came at her a full bore where Mercedes was a little more tentative. And that didn't look good on her. But it's understandable if she's never dealt with her before. And let's make it clear, Mercedes has been off for more than a year. And she's only had 2 matches, not counting all the exercises and training she's done when she hasn't been in the ring in Dynamite or Collision. She has been working in the back and has been exercising in the ring. But working in the ring in the back for training is not the same when you go in front of a crowd and you're going all out. It's different. And she looked a little nervous or a little tentative while working. It wasn't that bad near the end. It was fine. But the beginning, it was sloppy. A little choppy by her part. She did well, and I'm fine with that. Now, what can I say about Pac? I'm angry. I'm angry about Pac. You gotta understand in my point of view. I'm a Pac fan. I've always liked Pac. But the problem is they never really did much with him. They gave him the All-Atlantic Championship. That was it. They let him have the Trios title. That was it. They let him work with Death Triangle, that was it. Pac worked with Kenny on one of the first shows that AEW ever put on. And instead of them building him up, they haven't done a damn thing. Now, mind you, the Owen Hart Cup could be finally them saying, okay, we got to do something with this guy because he's got the talent. He has charisma. He can get the work done. We need to do something with him. Let's not let him go for the International Championship or the Commonwealth, what is it? The Continental Championship, the Continental title. I'm about to say Commonwealth. But essentially speaking, they could put him into the main title scene because they don't have that many people in it. And I do believe he could be something good there. That's just me. I'm not even going to talk about Dan Garcia with Camarado. There's no point. Other than he shaved his mustache and beard Camarado, but he's still jobbed. Big guys still get treated the same way as normal. They get their asses kicked. I'm sorry. I'm just not fond of that. I want a good balance of mostly small guys getting over, but also to a certain extent, I want some big guys to get over. And I'm not getting it, so I'm not feeling it. Final, Will Ospreay versus a Rey Fenix in a good match. It was a good match. I did enjoy it. And unfortunately, I had to go to the bathroom near the end of the match. So I missed the part with Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay after Will won by using a hidden blade. Now, I did watch it. That's the reason why this is late. I decided I didn't want to go on until I saw the last segment. So I had to go to an alternative to see the replay of it, which I did. And I saw what happened with Will after he won the match. And you see Swerve getting into the ring, and they said, you need to stop being a little boy. You need to stop being a little kid. You need to do the business. You will not hold this. You cannot hold two titles. And seeing Will rip the title from a Swerve. And then after he had one title and then the other, and Swerve took it back and says, if you were not my friend, if you were someone else, I would lay you in the dirt. Fine. I enjoyed that segment. It was not bad at all. Honestly, after seeing that the beginning of the match, when Will handed over the contract, and then did the match, and then this segment happened, I was fine with it. But, and this is where you're not going to agree with me, because I am in the minority. I know I am. This is not something that will happen. This is something that should have happened. This felt wrong. Why are you making Will Ospreay go up against Swerve Strickland now? Yes, in 3 weeks we'll have the match. And we're going to enjoy the match. It will not be a bad match. There's still more time to build into the story. But why is it happening now? He only just got the International Championship. And instead of saving this for All In, what is the problem where you have a couple of more months to develop a Will Ospreay into more than just someone who can do a fucking match? That you can see the person, Will Ospreay. See what he's going to do with the Don Callis family. What is he doing? It's like the Don Callis family and him have already separated without even talking. There's no breakaway between the Don Callis and Will Ospreay. In fact, they'll probably still say he's part of the Will Ospreay is still part of the Don Callis family when he should have already broken away. That should have been his story. That should have been the story for Will Ospreay, and we got nothing. Now we're having him go up against the champion. And it's dumb. This is not the right time. Everyone else will say, dude, you don't understand. No, I do understand. You don't. And of course, like I said, I'm in the minority. I already know. But you need to understand. Right now, AEW has this problem. Nothing focused. Nothing straight. Nothing. Everyone is complaining who doesn't get chewed out by AEW hardcore fans that this is not right. This is not how AEW should be functioning. There's something wrong. Look at Collision. Collision feels lifeless. Hell, when I already reported that Dax Hardwood is out because of a lower back injury, and he did his X video, and he talked about being on Collision, making that the mainstay. I didn't feel it. How could I feel the mainstay of Collision when Collision doesn't even feel like its own show? It doesn't. Yes, it was created for CM Punk. We know this. It happened. It doesn't matter. We have to know how to make it work now. There's been no lead in Collision, no champion for Collision, not even the women's championship. You can make the TBS champion be the head of Collision. I'm not saying it should be. You can have the International Championship be the head of Collision, or the TNT Championship. You could have had that with Adam and Copeland, and it never happened. Adam never felt important on Collision because it never made him the importance of Collision. So you look at this and you feel empty. This should be saved for All In Wembley Stadium. Will Ospreay had his shot with Chris Jericho on the biggest show they've ever produced. And everybody in Wembley loved it. It was the biggest show outside of the WWE before it was purchased. There's been no company that has been able to do that since the territorial days when you could have, WCW or, WCW, USAW, I believe. I can't remember all of them. Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. They used to hold their own arenas, and some of them were very big. The Von Erichs were like superstars. They used to almost sell out entire football stadiums at one point. But the problem is, no one's been able to do it since then. And we got it last year. And this year, instead of building this up to make it about Will Ospreay again, because we're going back to Wembley again, they've been touting it for almost 7 months, 8 months, talking about it even right afterward, trying to sell tickets again, which pissed off a lot of fans. Particularly some of the tickets were pretty expensive, but touting it like crazy in the hopes they would keep their popularity. But as it stands, this is the most stupidest thing you can do. Yes, you can try and see if Will can really get over and really be the champion that the company could use. But why does it have to be now? Put it on Wembley, but it's not. So as much as we're going to enjoy the Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay match, and we will, it will be that good. This was fucking stupid to do it now. But it's just me. Peace.